good? I'm back. I'm back. Monday morning tap in. Monday morning tap in. Yeah, I feel like I had a good, productive weekend. Um, was able to do some things. Attended a great event in Compton, California. A lot of great information was given. Event was put on by the brother Rizza Islam. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Rizza Islam. He put on a great event this weekend. And there's a lot of information given. So, yeah, man. Then went with the fam to the park, playground, rode around. You know, I like to, even though I live in the hood, I like to take my fam to the rich area. So I don't like to go to the park in the hood. I mean, nothing against the parks in the hood. They got some nice parks in the hood. But I like to take my fam to the other side. I like to take my fam to the rich side so that they can see, have it's kind of like more so see how people live, man. See how people that have wealth and money, basically how their surrounding environment is different, you know. So we go to the parks and the playgrounds in the rich areas, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, other areas. We like to go there because, I want them to see a different reality. And of course, most of the individuals that occupy those areas are of the Caucasian race, by no accident. But I like to go over there. I like to ride with my family. We like to go and just ride around and look at these houses in Beverly Hills, these magnificent houses in the hills and the Hollywood Hills, and just look at the extravagance of these houses. And I guess you could say it's inspirational, but just for them to see how people that have resources, abundance of resources, are able to live, and then contrast that with how people in the hood live, which is predominantly us and other groups. But yeah, man, I know y'all see the title, The American Dream. The American Dream is just a dream. It's just a dream, you know. And unfortunately, it's always been a dream. The system is rigged. And it's really about luck. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter if you go out and do certain things now. Maybe you go to get your education and you go get certifications, or maybe you go to a trade. The system is rigged for those that are in a particular group to win, And for those that have certain connections that belong to a certain social circle or elite group to win. And it's always been that way. It's rigged. What more can I say? It is rigged. The dream that you're thinking that you're going to have for yourself, for your children, is just a dream. You're not going to get the house, probably, more than likely. You're not going to get the white picket fence. You're not going to get the car and all the, nice luxury items to put in your house. You won't probably have the 2.5 children because they're doing things and putting chemicals in the foods that we eat. So all this stuff is a dream, and now it's just survival of the fittest. That's all it's about. I believe we all know at one time in the history of the United States, it was possible to have a somewhat comfortable life. A male would be able to go to a job or whatever, or career, and work at his career, make a decent enough pay to take care of his, if he chooses to, have a wife and children. A man was able to go to a decent job, have a decent job, and take care of his family and get a house and live in a nice, decent area. At one period in American history, I can see that was possible. Maybe at that time, it was more of the American dream. But that time only lasted so long. That time lasted so long, and now the dream, as of now, 2025, is finito. It's obliterated. It's no longer even a possibility. You can go to college if you want to take that route, and you can go and major in STEM. You can do STEM. And most likely, you won't be able to afford to pay for it, so you got to take out a loan. You take out a loan, and now you'll go into debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then you get out, and you won't be able to utilize that loan, that degree, especially if you come from this background. So you won't be able to utilize that degree. And so now you'll be stuck with a degree that you can't utilize and a whole bunch of debt. And now you're in a trap because you have to do a job that you don't want to do. Pardon y'all, I'm just pulling up to my wage slave. My wage slave. As you guys know, every Monday morning, I'm on my way to my wage slave. Wage slave, because I am a wage slave with this degree. And I don't want to be negative and gloomy. I don't try to be that, For you guys that watch my lives and my streams or my playbacks, I don't try to be doom and gloom. I'm just a realist, That's what you can identify me. When you watch this YouTube channel, you're just gonna get the real deal, no cut, no chaser. That's how I come. So as you guys can see, every Monday morning, I'm arriving to my wage slave, and I do have a degree. I always say that, but unfortunately, because the game is rigged, and I didn't realize that when I was in the university. Nobody told me that, right? All my family members told me was, go to school, get an education, and your life will be better. Now, keep in mind, these were baby boomers. And these relatives that were telling me this were baby boomers. Oh, let's turn it off. We're in the truck. These relatives that were letting me know, hold on, y'all. Let me do this right quick. Fact, yeah, these relatives that were telling me this information, they were baby boomers, right? So during their time of coming up, maybe maybe that applied. Maybe they were able to go to school, major in whatever, get that degree, and better their life. But my black American baby boomer relatives came up in a different time. During this time, there wasn't this large outside of, there wasn't a large influx of non-black American groups. There was the whites, and there was black Americans. There was some other groups, but they weren't in such, it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't in such a large numbers, right? And so during that time, they had less competition. Sure, they had to deal with the system of discrimination and racism and the system of white supremacy. Yeah, they had to deal with that. But they they were, and to understand the system of white supremacy is very complex. But to understand the system of white supremacy, it's basically that they want to be on the top. They want to be on the top, and they want to live in the best areas. They want to have all the top roles. They want to be on the top, and they want to. It's a racial hierarchy, right? So they want them on the top, and all the other groups on the bottom. Well, in those times when the baby boomers were coming up and going to college, the second group under them was us, and then the group under them was maybe the Asian community and the Latino community, but or it could have been a tie between the black Americans and the Asian community, but that was the group that was under them. And so when black Americans were going to school and getting their educations, they were able to be the first black vice president. They were able to go into these roles because, hey, the way that the dominant group society saw it, oh, we got to let some of them in, and they can run our businesses. But now, fast forward, now they have all these other groups that have come in and undermined us for the hope of being that honorary white accepted group, and they come in, they already given the script, hey, stay away from them blacks and do whatever you can do to undermine them. So it's a whole different dynamic now, and we have to deal with a lot, especially us millennials, the Gen Zs. We have to deal with a lot different environment than what our parents and grandparents had to deal with. But they were given this script based off of their upbringing, off their coming. They wasn't aware, And I'm specifically talking about the black American baby boomers. It seems like the other groups kind of understood, and that's why they told their offspring, hey, you're going to be either a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist. You're not just going to school just to go to school. You got to do something. The parents may have worked in the grocery store. They may have had the liquor store or whatever in the hood, but they made sure to tell their children, hey, this is not going to be your path. Y'all going to go ahead and y'all got to do this. You know what I'm saying? And it's a shame that our parents and our grandparents didn't realize that. They sent us off to school with this old paradigm that no longer worked. It didn't work no more. Those days were over. Those days were over, y'all. But unfortunately, they didn't realize that. And now here we are. Here we are, man. So the American dream in particular for Black Americans, is just a dream. It is over. It's over. Now, what is the solution? Let's see, y'all. Hold on one second. Because I followed all the rules. I followed all the rules. The rules they told me to do. I went to school, got studied hard, got decent grades, and then applied myself after that by doing what I needed to do to get, to boost my resume, my profile, going to get certain certifications, not just stopping at the degree, but figuring out ways to make myself more marketable. And the dream still didn't happen. So now it's like, well, what's the next step, right? What's the solution? We could say the solution is to move abroad, but to a cheaper place. But this is the thing, right? You want to, if you're coming from this United States of America, you're not moving abroad to a third world country, to the DR, to struggle. You want to move abroad because you are already struggling here in the States, and you want a better lifestyle, right? So in order to move abroad, you got to find a way to bring that American dollar with you. And with this current administration and the economy, at one time it was easier to be a digital nomad, but now it's seeming like that digital nomad lifestyle is not very liable or reliable right now. So I would say this, man. The solution to all my Black Americans, my FBAs, do whatever the hell you got to do. Do whatever the hell you got to do to make it, and try not to get caught. That's it. That's your only goal is try not to get caught. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Try not to get caught, because playing it safe, playing by the rules is not going to get you ahead in this current climate. And all the individuals that have wealth, I mean, those rich families, those people that have wealth, they didn't play by the rules. 9.99 out of 10 of them, 99.9% of them did some dirt to get where they get that amount of wealth. You don't get the amount of wealth that these individuals had by not doing some dirt, by not cutting corners, or not having favorable circumstances. That's the only way you're going to make it to where they are at. So to all my Black Americans, my foundational Black Americans, do whatever you got to do to make it. If you got to do some dirt, do some dirt, because playing it safe, playing it by the rules, when the shit in the system is rigged against you, is not going to get you ahead. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I'm one that did his best to play by the rules, and I'm stuck in a rat race right now with all this education that I can't use. So do what you got to do, man. Cheat, steal, whatever, man. I mean, shit. I mean, it's you could say, oh, he's saying that. You know what? It's the reality. Yeah, be positive and do your, stay positive and do your affirmations. You can do all that. Do all that. That helps. But also have a mindset to get it by any means necessary. Because playing it safe, playing it by the books is not going to get you ahead. Not in this climate. And that's if you're a black American, you know what I'm talking about. Do whatever you got to do to make it. And once you get the hell up out of here. Find whatever country you want to go to and go do that. Because this dream, this shit here, it ain't a reality no more. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. And with that being said, y'all, this is your brother Jay International tapping back in. And again, for that Monday morning tap in, make sure y'all, if y'all watch this, like, share, and subscribe. On the replay, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Drop some comments in the comment section, and I will holler at y'all later. Peace.